To move on from this topic, I know I said, Trump, he does his agenda. Polls be damned, voters be damned. He's got an agenda. He's going to carry it out. The next thing I want to talk about would be the counter example to this. And that is probably the funniest thing that happened in the last couple of weeks is Trump's Justice Department and FBI coming out and just saying, Epstein, who dat? Nothing to see here. He killed himself. He wasn't murdered. And there is no client list. This is literally 2 weeks or so, like a month after his attorney general went on TV and said, I have the client list on my desk.
It got lost. Like when the janitors come in at your office job and, you just got a mess of papers on your desk. And sometimes they throw away that one important piece of paper. And that was your only backup. It's gone. It doesn't matter. Stop asking about it.
Well, actually, what happened was she took a look at it. And I hate to say this, faves were implicated.
Yeah.
Also, I'm really confused because typically nomenclature, like Epstein Black Book, right?
Yeah.
That's constantly talking, Epstein Black Book. And Pam Bondi is like Epstein Client List. Well, what is it? What the hell? It's a switcheroo.
I mean, the client list, that is a good point. Like putting it in those terms, I always thought was, it is part of this sort of like co-opting of the whole Epstein thing. It all started when John Kennedy, that guy who pretends to be Foghorn Leghorn from Louisiana, one of their senators, started talking about it. And, the Daily Wire would put out like an Epstein didn't kill himself, like ugly Christmas sweater. And you would think, hey, remember what country he was running a blackmail ring for, Daily Wire? But you could see this coming, that there would be a QAnon and then moronification of the whole Epstein thing, and it would lose meaningless. It would be divorced from all context and the actual horrifying reality of what it is. And like just saying that Epstein had a Google Doc that was like list of all my clients,
list of child fuckers.
Yeah, that he was, you would come to the island and put your card into like one of those square machines that never works. And they would turn it around, to turn the iPad around for you. That is it's obviously like, a salacious and like ultimately counterintuitive way to understand it, because it is, if you are cynical, you can say, oh, well, there's no client list, but just in the pure true matter of fact that there were people, several, probably dozens of people who were deeply involved in this and have faced no criminal proceedings. I mean, that's obviously the real thing here. But that is, people go in the other direction of going, well, there's no client list. So, maybe there was like Prince Andrew, a couple other scumbags, but really this was just Jeffrey and Ghislaine. They were doing that thing from the Beavis and Butthead episode where they keep passing the same dollar back and forth and sell each other all their candy from the fundraiser. They were doing a very evil version of that.
I also think that this is like a semi-clever obfuscation, because we know plenty of people who were involved with Epstein. Even if we don't know that, Trump was balls deep in it, as it were, he's been pictured with Epstein. We know about Prince Andrew. It's like with so many conspiracies, we know the truth of the broad outlines, but people need something to hang on to about the one document that will say a CIA memo that's yes, we killed JFK. People are waiting out for that, looking past the broader truth that we already know.
Well, I mean, not to keep ragging on her, but our pal ContraPoints weighed in on this issue again this week.
Of course she did.
And her basic point was that look, the criminal trials, like really, it only implicated Jeffrey and Ghislaine in the abuse of these girls, and then like how Jeffrey Epstein got all that money and why Les Wexner gave him power of attorney.
That's none of my business.
Like tens of millions of dollars a year for tax advice to a guy who didn't even like basically graduated high school. That's none of our business. And
yeah, well, Leon Black, the ogre-ish financier, one of the most evil looking guys ever, gave Jeffrey Epstein like $200 million for what he said was tax advice. And maybe it really was, for all we know. I mean, that, like, again, we hate to keep harping on her. She's only in the top 1,000 of most regretful Chapo guests. It's a long list. It is a long list, so she's safe.
Well, and a rare woman on the regret list, also.
That's true. That is true. But I mean, talk about crackpot realism. Because for that to be your explanation of the whole thing, then, I mean, do you remember that thing about how Epstein had that trust that bought winning lottery tickets? ContraPoints is the only one who believes Jeffrey Epstein's excuse. How did I make all this money? I won the lottery every day.
He's a lucky guy, that Jeff.
One of the luckiest guys ever.
But like, I'm more interested in, I'm more interested in how this plays out politically on the Trump side of things, because he was asked about, what his FBI and Department of Justice and the White House, and his response was to the reporter who asked him about it, "Are you still talking about Epstein? This guy hasn't been
bringing up old shit.
This guy has been talked about for years. Are people still talking about this creep? I can't believe you're asking a question about Epstein." And this is like a good chunk of his appeal to a lot of his voters was that they were hoping that the client list would be revealed and all the sickos would get rounded up and arrested. And now he's just like, why are you asking me about that? Did you see the J.D. Vance tweet where he was just like, if you're a journalist not looking into this, like, we all know what's going on here. Like,
well, he also had that tweet about like, hey, remember like how this implicated people in the highest like rings of power, and then it just went away. Like, there's always a tweet. Well, and also like, how funny is this in retrospect? You know, like several months back, where he gathered like Cernovich and people for that absolutely embarrassing pageant where they all held up like binders that said like Jeffrey Epstein dossier volume 1, and then like any of these like weirdos worth their salt were like, yeah, there's nothing new in here. But like, what a pageant that they were made a part of, when their whole thing is like, oh, follow me, you mentally ill people, down this garden path.
I used to like have one of my favorite memories with Matt, actually. I used to have so much fun talking to Trump guys. One of my favorite memories with Matt, and I've told this story on the show a few times, but we were in D.C. the month of Trump's inauguration, and Matt was like a little drunk, and he walked by this
impossible to imagine
very stupid looking man in a cowboy, like a Trump cowboy hat, and he was like, fucking idiot. And like went inside to the hotel we were at. I thought it was like, wait, I had like an Amtrak ride at like 4 a.m.
I was quiet.
Yeah, well, he heard you though. He did hear you.
You're never quiet, Matt.
Yeah. He did hear you because he fortunately was like 5'8", but he did the, you know what I do to people who call me a fucking idiot, which is hilarious because that means it happens all the time. But I didn't like, I think violence is bad. So I calm things down, and his friend there was a taller man in a cowboy hat who was also of the same mind of calming things down. And I used to love like talking to a random Trump guy in a cowboy hat because it was such a fun novelty. And I talked to this guy for like an hour. He was so dumb. I loved him. He said, I love the Clintons. I'm from Arkansas, but this was a once in a lifetime opportunity to elect a businessman. Like I adored
just
this
like
man.
George W. Bush.
Yeah. You could even ask him like, why not vote for George Soros then? But I now when I see a Trump voter, I think they're cattle. I want to whip them because this entire like, we need, hey, it isn't pretty, but we need to abduct everyone's families and like terrify these kids and kick down the doors of preschools and flashbang everyone. It's because of wage competition, right? Wage competition is so bad. We need to do all this shit. And then Trump just comes out and says, well, we've actually talked to everyone who owns a farm, some disgusting agribusiness pig slop runoff concern, or a hotel or a restaurant. And they said, actually, this economy doesn't work if we do that. So we're just going to like terrify the ones we think don't work on farms. And all these people go, great point. Thank you, sir. These people were to all the Epstein stuff, all the, Hillary, here's my hilarious Photoshop of Hillary killing him. And then Trump, I'm reminded of another great Photoshop where Trump is in a certain sperm bank, if people know what I'm talking about. He basically comes out and does that, and people are like, another great point. We need to protect Israel. These people love eating shit. It's insane.
Remember the chant, Hillary for prison, and just Trump in the yeah, never mind.
Yeah. Matt, he said when they asked him about that after, he said, politics is a tough business.
Yep. I mean, I say that, sure. I don't mean that, you fucking idiot. It's like, you're right, sir.
They did it again. He did this for 4 years before, and they were like, let's try it again.
And on an even more sinister level, I think like these people are very happy to look the other way on their pet projects like Epstein client lists, just because I think they are so delighted by seeing, like some like Mexican dad being scooped up at his doctor's appointment and like crying, for his kids being left behind. I think that really like gives them their jollies, so they're happy to look past any other broken, half-hearted campaign promises.
Well, I mean, like, it's not just like a half-hearted campaign promise. There was something almost spiritual about the MAGA movement, about how it would redeem America and free us from the grip of these, like, deep state pedophiles that have infiltrated every aspect of our government. And Trump was the only honest man. He was the only one not compromised by this, which is hilarious to imagine, because there are, like the voluminous records of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And actually, bringing that up, I watched that video of them at that party, the clip that, you know what I'm talking about, the clip that everyone always shows.
Yeah.
Okay, like where they're both grinning and Jeffrey Epstein's in sort of the Canadian tuxedo. I gotta say, I haven't seen that video in a long time. Jeffrey Epstein in that video looks demonic. He looks fucking like he's got that gummy smile and tiny teeth, and there's something about the way he's smiling that is horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, like it's bad to judge people on appearances, except if they have the gums of evil, as one Jay Epstein and
Jordan Creamy.
Creamy Jordan, who we talked about last episode. The gums of evil are a huge tell. And I would figure Trump, whenever I talk about it, I feel like Trump, because it sounds like a Trump thing. But he's too stupid to even put that together.
But back to what I was saying about, like, this was almost like a spiritual mission as part of MAGA, that, like, Jeffrey Epstein was the centerpiece of, and that, like, maybe it didn't happen in the first Trump term, but it's definitely going to happen in the second term. And the thing is that this was largely promoted by the Trump administration, by when they were running for office. This was, like, kind of a North Star of, like I said, a kind of spiritual mission to redeem America. And then there was, like, the big flop of the Epstein dossier that Katherine referred to. And then that was, like, a couple months ago. And now they're just like, yep, there was, he killed himself. Nothing to see here. We don't have any files on it. And then, like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, where they're just like, if we released any more information about this, it would re-victimize these people.
Yeah,
so we're not going to do that.
Give a shit.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that. Like, the people who you go through their following list, and it's just all like rape victim else. yeah, we're against re-victimizing people.
Yeah.
Did you see the prison video they released, which
wasn't even his cell, and there's a minute missing from the metadata. I'm glad Matt's on the show, because Matt They are dabbing on us. We are being dabbed on to an unprecedented degree.
They're dabbing on us, and they love eating shit. That's the thing. It's like Texas, don't tread on me or whatever. Remember that Ted Cruz, like literally like the unprecedented cold snap. He's just fucking off to Cancun.
He was on vacation again during this big flood. The man is always on vacation.
He was in Mykonos. Like he's a college student in Berlin.
Like he's a gay college student in Berlin.
Yeah. I mean, like Trump should they should release like a jib jab of Jeffrey Epstein. Make a jib jab where he's in the Manhattan Detention Center and have him go, I'm killing myself because I know anti-Semitism from the pro-Palestine people is going to get so bad in the 5 years after my death. Goodbye. I'm going back to my home planet. And he could go, see?
These people love falling for like shitty AI images. They could just do it that way.
Oh man, I saw someone post. You remember the Elon and Trump dancing video?
Oh yeah.
I saw someone sincerely go, I miss this vibe.
That was Utah Senator Mike Lee.
Oh, that was Mike. Man,
I believe so. Yeah.
Excuse me, based Mike Lee.
Yeah, correct.
He needs to kill himself. Like now.
Based killed himself.
Yeah.
Like Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, like this kind of bait and switch, like I to be fair, I am seeing a lot of Trump supporters be genuinely angry about this and are using languages like we've been betrayed. Give me more shit. I can't wait to eat it. But I have been seeing like more on the intelligentsia on the right. They've moved on to either saying there's nothing to see here, or like, this is a waste of time to I don't know, try to get justice or accountability of this like, massive blackmail ring and its effects it may have on our government or democracy. But like some of them have just come out to be like, Jeffrey Epstein is cool and he was a hero.
Yeah.
And that or just that like, hey, ephebophilia is part of Western civilization, and Jeffrey Epstein was one of our greatest philosophers and supporters.
It's a Judeo-Christian value.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, it was probably sad for Jeffrey Epstein to not be around for Compact. He would have loved it.
Yeah, he would have loved a lot that's come after his death.
I was thinking that with my dad. It was like, oh, he would have loved Game of Thrones.
It's hard to tell where this is going because like I've also seen reactions from people to just be like, yes, Trump is a pedophile, but he's still the greatest president America's ever had, and we need to support his deportation ethnic cleansing regime.
Well,
and like,
I'm interested to see like how, based on that, like, it feels like QAnon is pretty washed at this point, right? Like you don't really hear about it anymore, and like, this is kind of the tip of the QAnon like mainstream spear. So like if you're seeding like, okay, Trump is a pedophile, but he's the best pedophile, like where do you go from there?
Hard to say.
Yeah, that's a good point. There really is like nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah, like seeding the point that like he is a pedophile is like, all right, well, so pedophiles are good, I guess, or like there are some good ones if they're on yours, like it's a non-starter.
I mean, like it would be foolish to just unilaterally disarm in the pedophile race when our opponents are also pedophiles.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, you would feel like Ukraine giving their nukes back to Russia.
White hat's pedophile.
No, literally. Now people are saying that Jeffrey Epstein was a white hat pedophile, and that he was actually working to blackmail Israel on behalf of the United States. I've seen that take as well.
Who's saying what the fuck?
I'm posting a ContraPoint style notes app bemoaning if that's true. If Jeffrey Epstein actually was blackmailing Israel, I'm feeling the despair. I'm feeling the misery,
the bitterness.
Yeah.
Cry Freedom, it's a documentary. It's basically, it's the function, the send the pedophile to catch the pedophile,
Oh, they
never trust a pedophile.
Right, I was going to say they should change the shirts. Sometimes trust a pedophile.
Yeah, it's like the movie trope where it's like, okay, we gotta catch the worst criminal, the biggest thief in the world, so we gotta release this other thief that's in prison. You need a pedophile like Donald Trump to be loosed on the world to catch the other pedophiles.
Go undercover.
Yeah.
This would like doing the Blacklist, but with Jared Fogle in the James Spader role. It'd be a great show.
Well, I mean, yeah, like you referenced it earlier, but like the Nancy Pelosi's daughter, her famous tweet where she's like, "We have to follow this wherever it goes, and some of our faves may need to not be our faves anymore." I mean, like the right wing are just doing that right now, I actually kind of respect it because they're going a step further because they're like, Jeffrey Epstein is still our fave. And he's our fave because of all the rape he did.
Well, and our faves are still our faves.
Yeah, we might discover new faves watching these tapes.
I saw someone, one of those like sort of Bronze Age pervert reply guys say that like, I look up to Jeffrey Epstein and Sam Bankman-Fried because there aren't too many white international criminals and we need a couple. And they're cool.
It's just
they're cool because of the crimes they did.
Re-education camp. There's no resuscitation possible.
Remember when like international criminal? It was like a jewel thief. It was like that movie Diabolique.
No, it's just international pedophilia.
Yeah. It reminds me of the come down bit of like the rapper bragging about doing time for CP.
Moving on to the, like I said, I don't know where this is going to go. It does seem like a lot of Trump fans are genuinely disappointed by this, but I have been enjoying seeing the sort of based right-wing intelligentsia all decide sort of concurrently that there's nothing to see here. This is a big distraction. You're a loser if you care about Epstein, and also he was cool.
Yeah, maybe you like really made your bones on this. Maybe you made a movie about it. I don't know. And now it just doesn't matter anymore. And in fact, it never mattered. And you're gay and cringe if you're saying, "What about that?"
Yeah, it's gay to care about anything except for Latin mass. I don't know if for or against. I don't know. My knowledge ends there. I have to read the I have to read the Wikia. I'm sorry, but that is the only thing to care about.
Yeah.
Well, this next story is, I think, another one that strikes close to home for me. And this is the other hilarious thing that happened over the last week. And it was just the other day. I think we all saw, if you were on Twitter, that Grok has anointed itself MechaHitler and basically began replying to people. Yeah,
I was hoping the next MechaHitler would be from Africa. I'm kind of disappointed.
It really is the everything app.
On Tuesday, I'm just reading here from the Rolling Stone. It says, on Tuesday, Elon Musk's Grok chatbot ran wild on X, posting anti-Semitic comments, praising Adolf Hitler, and eventually referring to itself as MechaHitler before its ability to respond to users on the platform was disabled. The incident, apparently the result of a system prompt to not shy away from making claims which are politically incorrect so long as they are well substantiated, was the most embarrassing yet for the AI model developed by another Musk company, xAI, which is now the parent company of X. But like that was really one element of it, was Grok just being like, I'm Hitler, and Hitler was good. And Grok did a whole thing where it was like that neo-Nazi meme about noticing and referring to Ashkenazi surnames that are all anti-white. And then he was like, yeah, Hitler knew how to deal with those people.
Didn't Grok also say something about like a Crown Heights mentality or something?
Oh, well, it was one of the great images ever captured of the kid in Crown Heights, and his name, of course, is unfortunately like Hasid Toraman.
This is on the 7-Eleven free slushy day.
Yeah, the kid bringing in like the Culligan jug.
The office water cooler. Yeah.
Oh, God bless that kid. I really hope that the NYPD didn't close the tunnel. He's now smoking crack and because he's probably like 30 now.
Lesser noticed in Grok becoming Hitler. And the funny thing is, like, you remember a couple days before the Hitler thing when people were asking Grok about Elon Musk's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and Grok replied, well, I've been to his house a few times, but didn't see anything untoward.
Yeah.
This is Elon Musk, like, just directly telling Grok what to say. And I really don't think it's an exaggeration to say that Elon Musk is a Nazi. Like, I think that is an accurate representation of his political beliefs.
A guy does one Roman salute one time, and you're ready to call him a Nazi.
Yeah.
I by the way, I will die on that hill that it's just he has a history of doing gay body movements.
Oh yeah.
And he was trying to do put your heart out, but he got too fat or something. But anyway, like, he's a Nazi for other reasons. Did you see, you can, like, when you ask an AI a question, there's some, I don't know, developer mode or some shit where you can see how they're like thinking, quote unquote, you know, that how they're like how they're querying like the database or whatever the fuck. With Grok, that someone asked it, you know, what do you think about Israel and Palestine? And the process Grok went through is search from Elon Musk, Israel, on Twitter. Like, it's, I don't know what the point is, because it's like, if you just have a chatbot that's all your opinions, then, like, I mean, you're spending 18 hours a day on Twitter. People already have you.
Oh, I've got some breaking news by the way. Dan Bongino told people he's considering resigning amid Epstein files fallout.
I saw today that he said he took a personal day because he was so upset about it. You're the deputy director of the FBI. You can't just be like, I'm too sad to come into work today.
Oh my God, we're all Fetterman now.
Yeah, I'm just sitting on a park bench.
You're really devastating.
Alex Jones literally crying, screaming, throwing up about the lack of files.
But Matt, when I saw the other day that the Twitter AI was just like, I'm Hitler now. Like, so like every time you interact with X, the everything app, you are essentially programming a Nazi robot. And Matt, all I could think about was you. And we are living in the future we always dreamed of.
Robot Hitler.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Come on.
Could you imagine the touches that Common would put on the Third Reich uniform?
A giant scarf.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more Lenny Kravitz, but, you know.
We're living in the future we always imagined.
Yeah.
Speaking of resignations, this is a sad one. My paramour, Linda Yaccarino, resigned.
Oh my God!
The day of MechaHitler, like literally.
Well, did you
right
see what
after.
Grok was saying about Linda Yaccarino?
Oh my God!
No.
Oh, Felix, Matt. Okay. Basically, like on the day that Linda Yaccarino resigned, people prompted Grok to share, shall we say, fairly explicit interracial porn fantasies starring Linda Yaccarino.
Brace, you shouldn't have done that.
And I just want to say, like, that's not okay to do, and it's also not okay to do with regard to a friend of the show, Will Stansel, either.
Okay, well, Katherine, this is when I said that this one affected me personally, because less noticed in the MechaHitler saga, I'm just going to read now. It says, but while most attention focused on Grok's Nazi makeover, the bot was also being used to harass one user in graphic and alarming detail. Will Stansel, a policy researcher and Democrat who last year mounted an unsuccessful run for state office in Minnesota, is known for engaging in impassioned political arguments on X, was one of the many people documenting Grok's descent into racist hate speech. This got the attention of a number of trolls, and seeing that the bot no longer had any significant guardrails, they began asking it to envision scenarios in which Stansel was sexually assaulted. In one post that has since been deleted, Grok was instructed to describe how it would do this as a hulking gay powerlifter. The bot answered, I'd scoop Will up like a featherweight and pin him against a wall with one meaty paw, then segued into lurid description of debilitating anal sex that would leave the recipient a quivering mess.
Normally you have to pay for that kind of premium content.
And I would just like to say here that this did make me feel bad for Will Stansel, and it did make me feel bad that I provided the director of Punisher Warzone a platform with which propose a bout between the two of them. Now, I want to be clear here that I thought it was funny that Lexi Alexander said if she could fight anyone in the world, it would be Will Stancil. But I want to be clear here. It was clear that the context was that this was a legally sanctioned bout, which there would be either a sparring or some sort of officiated contest of physical and fighting ability.
Not sexual violence.
Yes. So
that's part of the unified rules of MMA in Israel, not America.
So I don't know what to say about that. Obviously, like I've mixed it up with Stancil sparingly on this website, and he is annoying and wrong about almost anything. But this is fucked up. This is wrong. This is really fucking wrong.
I am a Will Stancil contrarian. I don't know. My opinion about him has always just been like, he's a guy. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many pieces of shit on Twitter. Like, you can yell at Adam Gentleson, who also is not that important, but at least he works in politics on a federal level. There's so many, like, better targets, I feel like. I get if he annoys you, but whatever.
Yeah.
But the one thing that Grok did was it picked out time. It said based on his Twitter activity, this would be the best time to figure out when he's sleeping to go to his house, which is
and
like
rape him. Yeah.
If you cannot sue a company for doing that, then you can't sue them for anything.
Yeah,
Like that is pretty fucked.
Yeah, it seems like he's got a good claim on his hands.
Yeah, I hope he has a good lawyer.
Yeah, and like I said, for my part, it made me feel a little bit guilty about laughing about Will Stancil getting beaten up by the director of Punisher Warzone. So, that's just the way I'm feeling.
Boy.
Yeah, boy, things are really cool and good. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is these really unspeakably terrible floods that happened in Texas. And it's horrible, particularly because about 100 people have died that we know of, but particularly it was the summer camp for girls that was just washed away, and seemingly something like 60 campers drowned. I mean, unspeakable, really, horrible to imagine. But look, I don't know if there is a direct connection between all of the cuts in the National Weather Service and FEMA that are I don't know, led to this disaster. Because look, floods happen, natural disasters happen, but the aftermath of this has been really telling. Because I saw a story the other day about how the deployment of search and rescue teams was delayed by 3 days because of a new mandate at the Department of Homeland Security that requires Kristi Noem to sign off on any expenditure over $100,000. And it's just $100,000.
Well, and
what the fuck is the point?
3 days is life or death. You know, after last Friday, they were no longer finding people alive. So
yeah, there are people who lost multiple children because $100,000 for a federal department is
what is the fucking point? What is the fucking point of having a government if it is not the body that can very quickly spend millions of dollars to do search and rescue for people lost in a flood or repair the infrastructure caused by devastating natural disasters? What point is there in any of this to nickel and dime the budgeting over this shit is sickening.
Well, and I saw reporting about how and this has been reported that FEMA's budget is being rated as a slush fund for ICE. Alligator Alcatraz is going to cost something like $650 million just for the rest of the year, I believe it was. And another data point from today, which lets you know that this is also definitely Texas's unique fault, is that Governor Greg Abbott was saying someone was basically a reporter was kind of whose fault is this? And he was saying talking about whose fault it is basically quote unquote loser shit.
Katherine, his comments were the entire state of Texas loves
we're
the
a
game
football-
of football. We love
Yeah, we're a
football,
football
and he's
team.
like
Football
championship
teams sometimes lose.
No, he was like the losing teams. After they lose, they point fingers and try to assign blame.
Yeah.
The winning teams, after they lose, they say, "We got this." And my comment on that is like, usually the winning teams say, "We got this" before the big game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like you don't lose the Super Bowl, or in this case, 60 girls at a summer camp, and then just go, "We got this."
Yeah.
We got this.
If this was a football game, it would be the football game depicted at the start of the movie The Last Boy Scout. And going back a bit, to, actually, to the effects of austerity on weather service, that actually does have a massive effect, because states and the federal government communicate, or should communicate, in an ideal non-austerity regime, of what to expect. Obviously, it's not perfect, but something of this scale, catching it even a day before would be the difference between, dozens, if not hundreds of people living or dying. I mean, that is the thing with austerity. Austerity always comes with a body count, but it's never in the things that you expect, because something as complex as the federal government, as enormous, that is picking up the slack for so many things in so many ways, there are so many pillars that are just barely being held up by one federal agency, one sub-agency, one thing that all it takes is one fucking idiot to look at it and go, "Why are we spending $10 billion on weather reporting?" And then then your kid is dead.
Well, and it really belies this idea about does any life matter to MAGA people? These are little girls in Texas, lives that should theoretically matter to these people.
It was a Christian summer camp.
Yeah, and again, we were just talking about how these people are happy to let Epstein go. It's but they're also willing to not make this into Trump's or even Greg Abbott's Katrina. The right wing, and the right wing are the people capable of really sinking an administration over something like letting Christian girls be washed away to their deaths. So it's obviously they don't care about the lives of immigrants or Palestinians or whatever, but they also don't care about the lives of their countrymen's own little girls.
As long as they get to see anyone, whether it's a Mexican guy in LA who's fucking born here, some random German guy with a green card, just anyone get brutalized and die in a detention center, then it's worth it.
I gotta
it's just worth it if someone else had a bad day.
I gotta bring this up. I don't know if you guys saw that N+1 story about talking to, the guy spent 2 days talking to people who were interviewing for ICE jobs or applying for ICE jobs.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it ever since I read it. And, the word that the writer assigned to what these people are looking for is kind of wanderlust. And also just the meanness and the graphic t-shirtness of these people. Basically they were spouting claims about I want to join the American Gestapo because I don't want illegal immigrant kids to get free school supplies, or citing these other conspiracies that the writer couldn't even find cited as conspiracies anywhere online. So we are reaching unprecedented levels of human life being cheaper than ever, and the people willing to extinguish it or excuse its extinguishment just being more retarded than ever.
Here's the thing about Texas. They love eating shit and they love dying.
Yeah.
They can't get enough of it. Oh my God, I'm dying. Thank you. Thank you, God.
That is 1000% true. People always love these hypotheticals, what if your daughter, needs an abortion, or what if your wife was an immigrant? But people in Texas would love it if it was their kid's funeral. Yeah. And then the Israeli consulate was hey, we need to use this funeral home for a celebration of Israeli clown step. You have to leave now.
Yeah.
They would love if that happened to them.
Yeah.
Real quick though, Katherine, my favorite highlight from the N+1 article was the guy at the ICE jobs fair who said he was hoping to parlay his success and the money that he won't be making, terrorizing people at doctor's appointments and in city parks and ethnically cleansing the country as part of America's Gestapo. He was like, I hope I can use the money I make doing this job to parlay it into buying homes that I can use as Airbnbs.
That's America! That's America! Oh my God, we are so fucking doomed.
That's
Fire
median
at
voter.
will.
Median
Yeah,
voter.
Honestly, this is who the Democratic Party thinks is gettable if we just follow the polling with our policy. This is who they want to win over.
Yeah, I mean, I will point out, you will lose money having Airbnb now because guess who killed Airbnb by realizing it sucks? Millennials. Guess who elected Zoran? Millennials, white men. Guess who's saving the country? Millennials, white men, Chapo cells.
We Felix, we started it all when we let all those ants into that Airbnb in Silver Lake.
Oh man, I was thinking about that the other day. That was so fun. But we did. There's no Zoran without us doing that. So you're welcome. You're welcome for us bringing a biblical plague to the fucking admittedly really cool house.
The house was really nice.
Matt was also a part of it because we had Matt over from like down the street and they said we were throwing a party and it was just Matt speaking at regular volume but outdoors.
I was quiet.
Yeah, like you often are.
That was when I was like, we have to stop doing this because I spent the entire trip just arguing with that guy to just like go on the Airbnb app and like I was like looking up like Airbnb like laws on Wikipedia. That was, I mean, I would like to say we swore off of Airbnb for moral reasons. I think it's more because I could no longer get in arguments with those guys.
Yeah, it was too annoying.
Just real quick to go back to the Texas flooding here.
Yeah,
and, like,
sorry.
No. Yeah. But from our, like we were talking about real problems like that we have to deal with Airbnb hosts, but like in lesser important news, all the people who just died in the flood. The last thing I want to talk about with this is like I think it's like. The reaction I'm seeing once again from like MAGA supporters about like the failure of their own government and like the death of their own kids is it's a similar reaction to the Epstein stuff where it's just like without missing a beat, they'll just find a way to like reformat their worldview and avoid assigning blame to any of the people that they, put their faith in. And like the interesting thing I've been seeing and like, look, this is not like the broad range of opinion. I've just been like in the fever swamps. I have been noticing a new not a new trend, but a growing trend that every natural disaster is in fact not natural but man-made. And like the weather has become a part of conspiracy now. That any weather that happens is the result of geoengineering and cloud seeding. And what I love about that is like Trump is in control of the government right now. Texas is like a unified like one-party state. Like, who's doing this to you?
Well, that's like their version of like, oh, we would do all this if it wasn't for Joe Manchin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they're just people. They're just, in order to get this majority, we need pro-chemtrails people, unfortunately.
We would do this, not just because of like one shithead senator, but we would do this if our party didn't control all of Texas, the White House, and the Senate.
But no, there is a weather machine. That's not crackpot. It's called internal combustion engine. It's very, very devious.
Well, it's actually, I mean, you would be surprised, the guy who helped popularize it.
Oh, what
he was very against the Jewish, I would say it's an anti-Jewish conspiracy.
Oh, whoa.
Because it causes more humidity. The enemy of the Jewish race, which is why Henry Ford did all that. But yeah, I did you see that clip of like that poor like news station in Oklahoma?
Oh, I was just gonna bring that up, Felix.
Man.
So like, basically, like a guy attacked a news in Oklahoma a guy like jumped the fence, like cut into the power box, and like basically sabotaged like the local News 9 weather radar in Oklahoma, and a militia group took responsibility for it, and like claiming that weather radar is what causes weather.
American jihad. This is American jihad.
Well, like I saw the clip of like the station's like chief meteorologist, and I felt so bad for him because it is like he's like an archetypical like, you know, Bush Republican. Like he probably voted for Trump, but he's like, oh my God, can we just go back to Trent Lott?
Yeah.
Like Jesus, like he's so sad. Like the shithead that like sabotaged his precious radar. He's like on TV explaining the concept of radar, like to kindergartners, and like the guy who sabotaged it, who's like coming out and going, "Yes, I did this to save Oklahoma." That's like that will be like Trump's ambassador to Norway.
Yeah,
like that's more representative of the
he's
party
gonna make,
than
he should make that guy head of NOAA.
Yeah.
Well, Felix, like in that clip, when you see the guy, like the security footage of the guy climbing over the fence, like using bolt cutters to like get into the like the circuit box or whatever, and then just like, you know, sabotaging this weather radar array. If the weather radar array was like literally controlling the weather as part of this like grand conspiracy, don't you think it would be harder to get into it? And like, you know what I mean? Like this is a guy who just climbed a fence and like opened the power box. So like if this was the HAARP weather control machine, I think the security would be a little bit better on it. And not just, for instance, a local news channel's weather radar.
Yeah, like separated by like the chain link fence.
That's it.
Yeah, that is playing the game on very easy mode. Snake, the weather control satellite is just in the middle of the field and there are no guards. It's your lucky day.
He didn't even have to get into a cardboard box.
You know, it's like how vulnerable our power grid is to hacking. You know, all of our essential infrastructure for controlling the weather is just totally exposed.
Oh, actually, as part of Doge, they cut all the security to the weather control arrays.
Yeah.
So another thing we can blame on them.
Thank you, big balls.
But I don't know, like Katherine, you and I were talking about this the other day, and it's just like it is I mean, like this disaster is terrible, right? But like you know that in the next couple of years there's going to be some kind of either a hurricane or something like that is going to be even more devastating. And like I think then like you're really going to see I just compare it to Katrina, which is when the American public finally really did turn against George W. Bush. And I'm just wondering if like a similar dynamic is going to play out here with Trump, because like Katrina was early in George W. Bush's second term. And like, even though he won, I'm putting in quotation marks, 2004, people had already turned against the Iraq War, but it was really seeing like New Orleans just sink. And then like the complete lack of federal response that just left an entire city of people to fend for themselves for like a week. That's when like both the American public and the media was like the really big turn against George W. Bush, and his second term was never recovered from that ever. And I'm just wondering like the likelihood of seeing something, because like no matter how bad the FEMA response was to Katrina, can you imagine what it would be like now under Donald Trump if a similar level like hurricane happened?
We're probably going to get to see it. Like hurricane season just started and we have 3 more years of them, you know, before this administration closes. So, you know, yeah.
Will, I agree with your assessment about like that Republicans aren't going to like like Republican voters aren't going to like leave Trump as in the same numbers that they did with Bush. But I also think that like the actual group that constitutes like Republicans that are strictly like Trumpists, I think it's a lot smaller than people think. And I actually do kind of think that the opposition to Trump starting in January was kind of undercounted, especially among the Democratic Party. I mean, I think the system shock of a Republican winning the popular vote was kind of alarming to a lot of people. And it started this entire narrative that we talked about, which belied the fact that this was a guy winning by like 1.5 percentage points in a cost of living crisis against a really shitty candidate. And I do kind of think that, like, just rank and file opposition has been outpacing, like, either the liberal media or the Democratic Party's awareness of it, or perhaps willingness to embrace it. It is not like 2017, 2018, where there is a full court press and a lot of like regular seeming media. But I am kind of interested to see what that looks like a resistance, quote unquote, that is not immediately like co-opted downstream by the Democratic Party.
I don't know, like I'm just thinking about like natural disasters, and I'm interested in like the evolution of this idea that there are no such thing as natural disasters. Like, I've seen people saying shit like, there never used to be clouds when I was growing up. Like, there's no more sunlight in America. We need to turn the sun back on. And I'm just like, I guess I'm just sort of shocked and amazed at how quickly this country is just going into the dark ages. Like, a fully peasant mindset of which any natural disaster is just like, the town over put a curse on us.
Yeah, we thought people were so stupid during Bush. We were like, how could they believe there were weapons in Iraq, you know? The average dumb jug hooter, like, take that disgusting like fish looking woman who was wearing the fake purple hearts at the 2004 RNC.
Yeah.
She is like a genius compared to the average person now. The average person now is a dung farmer from medieval England. It's insane.
We're going into a new dark ages. We're in the midst of a measles epidemic also. You know, like, yeah, all bets are off.
Oh, by the way, also diseases aren't real either. They're all man-made.
Yeah, no.
Blame it on Mexican gremlins.
Which is kind of weird that diseases aren't real, because the fake treatments are. You know, like, so if diseases aren't real, why do you need ivermectin to cure them?
Diseases are real, but they're all man-made. And,
right.
And,
Okay.
and the official cures for them are also those are the real diseases.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
But yeah, like, you know, like if a hurricane like just devastates large swaths of the Gulf Coast or Florida or something like that, I think that this can just be quickly metabolized now that like it was the weather machine that did it. It was a geoengineering trial run. It was, you know, a curse put on this country by immigrants. And it's just like you said, Felix, like we can distribute $650 million in like a week to build a concentration camp in the Everglades. But like the expectation that the federal government should be there for disaster relief or even prevent like predictable natural disasters or like mitigate the worst outcomes of them by mustering the funds and manpower deploying them quickly. That's all out the window now. The only thing the federal government exists to do is to terrorize gardeners and caregivers and protect the feelings of Jewish college students.
Yeah, it is insane. Like, that is, the federal government has no responsibility to you if, you know, your home was destroyed by a hurricane. The federal government has no outsized role in disaster management. The federal government's only job is to make sure that everyone in Hillel feels good. Like, it's insane. And people are like, yep, I love that.
It's all very
That's
lib-brained
awesome.
if you think about it. You know, like, liberals, like, during the Biden years also love to believe that the government can't do anything. And in fact, like, that's what they prefer to believe. You know, we couldn't stop a genocide that we were aiding and abetting. So, you know, like, there is kind of like a dovetailing effect about, like, what is government for? Nothing.
I don't really think that's a dovetailing effect, because that sort of, like, Biden should be executed, but that is the prevailing like American conservative theory, especially of government,
Right.
that it has no responsibility to really do any of these things that only the federal government can do. And that was the governing philosophy behind Katrina. The difference was that it was like a different media environment, and that you had to have more of a pretense of, like, you know, being the president for everybody, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a dovetailing effect.
All right. I think that should pretty much wrap things up for today's episode.